Hello, welcome to my first ever LinkedIn Live. So, this should be a learning journey for everyone. Hello, my name is Michael Krumpak. I run a little firm called L4 Learning Solutions. And for the last 5 years, I've been writing and rewriting a book. And the book is called Why Smart Leaders Do Stupid Things, Lessons Learned from Lousy Leaders. And my thought is that you can learn from the worst to become your best. So, throughout my career, I've worked with a lot of people. I've been in learning and development since I was 18. I've designed leadership programs, I've done executive coaching, I've done leadership assessments. My background is in industrial organizational psychology. And throughout all the trainings that I've done, a lot of people have come up to me and they're like, I really like your stories. And I'm like, yeah. So I actually, this is a true story. Since I was 18, I was tracking a list of all stories that I would encounter. So there used to be the Franklin Covey planner. I don't know if you remember that, but I used to have a page in the back of all like little stories and things like that. Unfortunately, because I've moved like 7 times over the last 10 years, I've lost that. So I had to kind of recreate a lot of things. But usually, whenever I'm in a situation, I'll pull out my phone and I'll take a quick note of some stories. And so I was on a journey. I've done coaching for many, many, many years. And a couple years before COVID started, I decided I wanted to actually get the credential. So there's a couple different types of credentials. There's an ACC and then there's a PCC. And a PCC is a professional certified coach. So while I was in training at the University of Miami, kind of a buddy of mine in the program, we were talking about these stories that we had. And I'm like, maybe we should make a coffee table book. So he put together a list of his stories, which was about like that. And I put together a list of my stories, which was about like that. And I'm like, wow, I really have a lot of things. And the purpose of the book isn't to like trash talk or shame anyone. It's just over the years, I have learned so much of what not to do. And the reverse of that is what can you do as a leader, that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try to like put this in a book. So thank you for those of you who've been kind of following me. I'm not a natural social media person. So I've kind of worked on that skill over the last 5 years. And that's why we're here today. I don't even know if this is working. I can't see anything. It says live, so I'm just going to go with it. And hopefully you guys can see this. And then we'll figure it out next time. Maybe I'll bring some guests to come and speak. But I just wanted to, like, I see this as like a QVC channel where they're talking about training. And one of my first jobs, I was 18. I was working at Infocision Management Corporation in beautiful Akron, Ohio. And I was selling things like the Ronco pasta maker. We sold classical music. We sold Oriental Pearl Cream. We sold the Fitness Quest. What was it called? The Easy Glider. So people would buy the tummy sizer, which was something that you would strap to your stomach and you would push in and out. And then me and my team, we would call them and we would upsell them for an Easy Glider for 3 payments of $19.99, 3 easy payments. You notice one of my programs that I have 3 easy payments for you. So that's where that came from. So anyways, I started this journey of really collecting stories and training people. I was a music major and I decided to change my undergraduate degree to business and organizational communication. And then from that, I was interested in this new field called industrial organizational psychology, which is basically you look at what organizations need talent to do and you define what those behaviors are. And then you look at the employees that are coming in and who do you hire that has those skills? Who do you promote? Where do you need to find more talent? And so it's an opportunity to kind of look at behaviors from the organizational standpoint and the employee standpoint. So anyways, I've meshed all those together over the years, and I didn't really know it, but I created this legendary leader flight plan. So I think I told you I rewrote this book like 5 times. I was part of a National Speakers Association writing group, and we would get together every Monday night and we would brainstorm and share writing examples. It was a great, great, great experience. And about 3 or 4 weeks before my first manuscript was due, I'm like, this book is a hot mess. There's just stories everywhere. It's interesting, but like they don't hang together. So I looked at all of the stories. I looked at all the experiences that I've had doing leadership development and executive coaching. And I put together this model. I called it the Legendary Leader Blueprint. So if you look at some of my earlier videos on YouTube, I'm like, you know what? This has been a journey. I'm not going to like redo the videos, but it was called the Legendary Leader Blueprint. And then now it's called the Legendary Leader Flight Plan. So I'll talk about this companion guide in a second. But so this has been, this has gone through like so many different iterations. There's a reason I spent 5 years on the book. I would spend months working on the model, and there's so much underneath the model. There's behaviors, there's what blind spots look like, there's tons and tons and tons of stuff. So you're seeing what has bubbled up to the surface. But the model is a little bit different. Actually, it's pretty different than a lot of other leadership frameworks. And it starts with liberation. So liberation is basically creating the conditions for innovation, openness, and risk-taking. So, and all this spells the word legendary. So these are not mutually exclusive. It's not like you do step 1 and then do step 2. These are just 9 vectors or 9 things that you focus on that can actually help you and your team go from smart leaders to what I call legendary. So liberation, that is psychological safety. It's where people can say no. It's where people can push back to the CEO, to the COO, to the president, to the boss, where bosses lean in and they're like, hey, Michael, we haven't heard from you on this. I see that you look a little confused. Please share what you're thinking. It's a psychologically safe environment where actually, if you do all this stuff that I'll get to, you actually end up in a place where you are creating this environment of what I call liberation. So this is and each of these is in the order that the chapters are in the actual book. So we talk about liberation, and then we talk about expectations. And I have catchy taglines for each of these. I worked with an amazing leader a few years ago, and he used to say, inspect what you expect, which I think is really important. So expectation is basically, do people know what's in your head? Are you taking time to define your goals, to align it to the vision, to the mission? Are you being adaptable with what's expected today? Is it different than yesterday? And I don't know why my phone is ringing. I turned off this off. Hold on. We're live, so whatever. Hold on. So true story. I used to have an iPhone, and then I switched to an Android phone because I would walk around when I worked at Samsung in Korea, and I felt like so ashamed that I had an iPhone. So I do have a Samsung phone, but it is now turned off. Okay, so that's expectations. And growth is, and these can be applied to you as a leader. They can also be applied to your team. So this is like a growth mindset. Do you find ways to do things better than you did yesterday? Are you open? Are you receptive? Are you asking questions? Are you driving continuous learning, capability building, and development for yourself and your team? Huge, huge thing that I don't know about you, but when I get busy, it's like, oh, I'm going to cancel my appointment to do my weekly reflection, or I'm going to watch a couple YouTube videos or a podcast. So growth is really important, especially with all this AI and technology and innovation. So that's a really important part of the vector. Empathy, this is all about connection over correction. So how do you really connect with your employees? How do you get on the same page, even if you don't like buy what they're selling or truly understand what they have? And I have a great story in the book where I was working with an amazing manager that actually demonstrated so much empathy during a time where I had a lot of transition, a lot of stress. I was ready to quit. So there's a really powerful story in the book around empathy. Then negotiation. This is looking at leveraging differences, trying to determine agreements, trying to pull everything together. So it's having a dialogue where you're meeting people where they are, you're trying to find a compromise. I feel like influencing is a little bit in there. Decision making is the next vector, and decision making is acting decisively using data, judgment, input to lead with confidence. And one of my favorite stories in the book, it's a sad story. It's a story of Flight 401, and I'll just go to the punchline. They basically stopped thinking clearly, and everybody in the cockpit was trying to figure out why the landing gear light wasn't going down. And here's what happened. They ignored alarms. They ignored questions when people said, "Hey, who should I fly the plane?" They assumed the autopilot was on, and their focus was all about finding this light bulb problem than landing the plane safely. And unfortunately, they crashed into the Florida Everglades. And now all of the training of any pilot that gets on any airplane that you get on today has now been trained in crew resource management, which actually came from this situation and some others as well. So the decision making chapter really talks about how do you make sure that you don't get sucked into a crisis, you don't get distracted by those light bulb moments, and actually are thinking clearly and making really good decisions. Then adaptability is really important, responding, uh, flexibility to change, dealing with uncertainty, dealing with evolving problems. So, how quick do you spring back? Like, if you're not planning for the fire drill to happen today and it happens, how do you deal with it and then get back and adapt? Resiliency, that's recovering quickly from setbacks, keeping teams focused and moving forward. And then one of my favorite vectors, and the way I see it, again, this isn't mutually exclusive. It's not like a whole step by step approach, but the last vector is yielding. And that basically means you're stepping back to let others lead and solve problems and own their own outcomes. So, this is the Legendary Leader Flight Plan. And it's something that I developed about 4 years ago, refined over the last 3 years, changed the name back in June before I was speaking at a conference to kick off this book in July. And then I rewrote the whole book to have this like aviation feel. So I used to work at an airline. One of my favorite shows is Air Disasters. I know that sounds a little bit cray cray, but you can learn so much from analyzing what happened. And the TSA, whenever there's an incident or an accident, they pull the black box and they listen to the recordings. They analyze all the data. And typically, any air disaster, it tends to be a breakdown with communication or leadership. So in the book, I kind of talk a little bit about that. But anyways, I've had this love for aviation that I've baked into the book. So in the book, you have things like black box reflections, where we go through and we talk about the individual story. And I tell the story in a couple ways. One, I give it from my perspective of like, this is what I think lousy leadership around decision making looks like. Then, after I tell the story, I give an overview of what I think are the key learnings and go through the do's and don'ts. The other part of the book is there's two sides to every story, right? There's the side that the leader feels in their own head, which may be right. And then there's the side that everyone else is observing. So in the book, there's this thing called spiral. Here, this is a character called Chad, And basically, after every story, I go through these spirals and I look at the story from their perspective. So it looks at the spark. So this person held all the outward signs of being a good senior leader. Then I look at the pressure that they were facing. So typically, no one wakes up and says, I'm going to be a lousy leader, but stress and pressure comes up. And if we don't pay attention to ourselves and we don't stay in tune with what our strengths are and what our blind spots and our opportunities for improvement, we're going to derail. And here's like a whole book about derailing. So we have the spark, we have pressure, we have imbalance, we have rationalization, which in one of the stories, we have a guy, his name's Fitz. He jumped on a conference room table, stormed across it, yelled and screamed at one of his director. And basically, he was trying to get results to come up. In his head, that's what he thought that he should be doing. So we look inside the perspective of the lousy leader to try to figure out, like, what are they thinking? And then the actions are the actions that they took. Maybe the actions could have been a little bit different. And then the legacy, that's the outcome. What was the story that they left? Was it a positive legacy or a negative legacy? So that's the spiral in the book. And then we have do's and don'ts. So after the chapter, I really encourage the leader or the reader to go through and reflect and think about it. But I give you kind of my take as a coach of, like, these are some of the things that you should be doing and some of the things that you should not be doing. So it's just a way to kind of process and reflect. Some of the earlier readers said that this feels like a very different business book. It feels like you're sitting down with me, we're having a conversation, we're having a dialogue. I'm exploring with you a couple different perspectives. I'm introducing frameworks that are sticky and really add value. And I try not to use the F word. I try not to be fluffy with any of this. And the do's and don'ts is just a way to say, okay, you read the story. Let me tell you what I think some of the takeaways are. These are the things that you should do, typically the opposite of what the lousy leader did. And then these are some things that you should pay attention to in times of pressure and stress, some things that you shouldn't be doing. So those are the do's and don'ts. And then there are black box reflections. So again, at the end of any type of accident, they pull the black box and they try to figure it out. So these are not questions. This is just an opportunity to reflect and think. Because here's what's happened. So many of us are so busy going from project to project, fire drill to fire drill, and no one's taking out time to do reflections. And if you just like look at LinkedIn, look at other posts, it's all about like taking time for yourself and thinking and detaching and asking for feedback. And it's not rocket surgery. It's not rocket science. I say rocket surgery because it's a little bit of both, but we just get busy that we don't do it. So this book is designed to help you actually read the story, pause, reflect, answer a couple questions that a really, really good, expensive executive coach would ask you in an executive coaching conversation, so that you can take the insights that you get from the book and actually put it into action, because that's what it's all about. Everyone can read this, but unless you do something with it, nothing's going to happen. So let me go through this. I have so much to say. And again, I hope this recording is working. So when I'm done, I'll check LinkedIn and hopefully we'll see something. I'm supposed to see questions here too. Hold on. I don't see any questions either. So anyways, this is my first test. So maybe I'll do this again if we don't do it. So at the end of the book, there are final approach questions. And these are really, really tough questions to ask or to answer. And I literally have spent probably 6-7 months just working on the best of 3 questions for every single chapter. So I'm going to read you one of the questions of the final approach. But before that, I'm going to give you the instructions. And these instructions are at the top of every last page of the chapter. Don't just read these questions, stop. Pick one and answer it now because clarity waits for no one. Smart leaders read these questions. Legendary leaders reflect, answer, and act. My invitation is to take 5 quiet minutes. Grab your journal, open a note on your phone, talk it out with a trusted peer, pick one question that hits the hardest and sit with it. Write, reflect, be honest, not perfect. Do it now. So here's one of the questions. Where might your need for control be unintentionally stifling innovation, ownership, or voices on your team? Like, that's a tough question. You really got to think about that. Oh, Christine, you said brilliant. So, okay, awesome. At least you're here. And I hope this is a recording, but great. Awesome. Thank you. So, where would your need for control be unintentionally stifling innovation, ownership, or voices on your team? And what would it look like to step back without stepping away? So, like, these are tough questions, but if you're really, really committed about building better leaders in your organization or building better leaders for yourself, like, these are really, really good, like MCC master's level, powerful coaching questions that it's going to take you some time to actually think through it. And I'm not expecting you to read it and answer it, but like, sit with it, think about it. Talk around your team, like, throw these questions out. So anyways, that's the structure of the book. So we go through the stories, we have black box reflections, we have do's and don'ts, we have final approach questions. There's a lot of stuff in the book. Now let me rewind, and I want to introduce something that if you're watching this, I'll give you this for free. This is a $49 companion guide. And this is all of the questions in the book, but then I've actually taken the black box reflections in the book that are not questions, and I've actually put them into the companion guide as questions. So now you don't need to answer any of the questions in the book or dig for it. They're all right here, organized around each of the 9 vectors, each of the 9 chapters of the book. So the very first thing that you should do today, whether you like me, whether you want the book, the first thing you should do is scan a QR code. And I'm going to put the QR code in the chat. It's actually not a QR code, but it's a link to my Flow page, which basically I'm going to give you a whole bunch of stuff for free, including the companion guide link. I'm going to give you chat. Okay. Crap. I don't know how to do this. Christine, if you're listening, it's Flow.page/whysmartleadersdostupidthings. I don't know if you can put that in the chat, if everyone can see that. But anyways, if you go to the book on Amazon, it's going to let you read the first chapter or the first few pages. And literally this QR code is everywhere. So I've shared the link on LinkedIn. Those of you that follow me on YouTube or Instagram, even Facebook. I don't really have too much Facebook, but so this is a QR code. So maybe you could even scan it right now. I don't know. But if you scan that, that will take you to the Flow page. And in the Flow page, the one thing that I want you to do that's free, it's confidential, I don't see your results, is you scan the QR code and you take the Legendary Leader Radar Assessment. Let me actually see if I can bring it up on my phone here. So if you go to Flow.page/whysmartleadersdostupidthings, it's going to take you to this Flow page here. So you have a little bit about the book. Yay, yay. It's available now. If you want to buy it right now, today's price is $3.99, which makes me cringe because I'm not making anything off of this, but I'm trying to rank on Amazon so that people can get this into their hand and do something meaningful with it. So that price is going to go up to like 10 or 12 bucks and over the course of the next couple of weeks. And there's paperbacks and hardback. They're all like super, super discounted. Like they'll never be lower than they are right now. I promise you that. So anyways, you can click the first button. That'll take you to Amazon to buy the book, read the book, get the QR code. Then you have the Legendary Leader Radar Assessment. So if you click this, it's going to open up the assessment that says, how legendary are you? And you literally, it takes 3 minutes. You're going to answer questions around each of those vectors, and it's going to give you a report of what are your top 2 and bottom 2 areas that you could focus on. So this gives you instructions. There's a link to a video if you're like, what the heck is this all about? I need more data before I decide to do this. There's a start button. You hit the start button, and this launches your free assessment. So I don't ask for your name. I don't ask for your email. It's all confidential. So once this actually loads, you will see your overall percentage from a 0 to 100 about how legendary are you as a leader. So you go through these questions. I'll do one with you. So the first question, I support calculated risk-taking and treat failures as opportunities for growth. So basically, is this an area for development, an area of strength, an area for significant improvement? Are you meeting expectations, or is this an area for significant strength, area of significant strength? Are you known as a role model? So I ask you to think through this and think of a time when you were stressed at work or there was a lot of pressure, and then answer these questions. So basically you answer these questions, and then at the end, it's going to say, hey, Michael, you're about a 78%. If you would like a detailed report of how you score across the vectors, as well as your top 2 and bottom 2, then that's when you enter your email address, and a third-party vendor is going to send you the report. I don't see it, so I'm not going to chase you down and be like, hey, Christine, I see that your decision-making skills are really bad. I think you should buy my book. No, I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I want you to have a confidential assessment. I don't see it. The only thing I do is I can see that you took it. And if you want to share it with me, great. I encourage you to like share it with other people, find a coach, find a buddy, use a program. But this is such a great, great, great free tool. It's a $25 assessment, and it's way better than most of the garbage that's out there that I've seen lately. And it's free. And between you and me, it's worth 25 bucks, but I'm probably always going to give it away. When I wrote the book, I wanted to have like a code in the book, and you have to buy the book to get it. And I'm like, I'm an indie publisher. I'm doing this all on my own. I don't have time for that. So I'm like, let's like, I'll be a go-giver and pay it forward. And so here's assessment. You can give it to yourself. You can give it to your team. I'll tell you, we did a couple, I called it Smart to Legendary Executive Roadshows last month when we were promoting the book. We had meetings with Fiji Water, with New York Life, and Redgrave Law Firm. And we had their executive team take the assessment. Everybody got their individual assessment, and then we got everyone together and we looked at the average across all 9 of the vectors. And we also looked at who had strengths in some of the areas where collectively the whole team was a little bit lower. So you know who your A players are. Those people can kind of lean in and help out. So this assessment can do a lot of great stuff. You don't need to buy the book, but you really need to take the assessment. So again, it's Flow.page/whysmartleadersdostupidthings. And anywhere you see a QR code, scan it. That'll take you to the assessment. So, okay. So anyways, and then I won't bore you with the details of going through the Flow page, but if you're interested in talking with me, if you'd like to see some YouTube videos, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, if you want to book time with me on my calendar, if you want my phone number and my email address, like it's literally all there because I'm trying to like support and help people really go from smart to legendary. And I say this in my book, the world is literally a shit show right now. And now more than ever, we need really, really good leaders. So steal the radar assessment and give it to everybody you know. And I hope you get some value from that. And if you have $3.99, go to Amazon and get the ebook of Why Smart Leaders Do Stupid Things. So anyways, the flow code goes to that. So let me tell you about this free companion guide. It is valued at 49 bucks. If you go to my website, there's a coupon code where you can get it for 10 bucks. But if you want to write this down, or maybe I'll put this in the chat later, if you type in the code free guide 2025, I will give you this for free. Electronic version of this, will email it to you. So this is gold. And people are like, why is the companion guide 49 bucks and the book is $3.99? Because like you can mass produce this. Like this is like expensive to produce. So this is a printed copy. Eventually these will be available as print copy, but I'm sending you the PDF version for free if you go to that flow code, or if you go to the website, Why Smart Leaders Do Stupid Things. You can enter the code free guide 2025 and you'll get this free companion guide. So Michael, what is this, you ask? So it is your cockpit of tools to go from smart to legendary. It's based on the same legendary leader flight plan that is in the book. There is a table of contents. So it's organized just in the same order and fashion as the book. So if you want to go to the negotiation chapter, I'm going to go to page 24. And here's the negotiation chapter. I'm going to stand up for this. So negotiation. This is chapter 5. It's also the 5th vector. So you have a leader's briefing, which basically gives you an overview of what negotiation is. So if you're a pilot, you're getting on a plane, you're going to meet the co-pilot, you're going to do your like pre-flight briefing, inspections, all that kind of stuff. That's what that's designed to do. And then you have the do's and don'ts from the book, word for word, and then also the first activity. Based on the do's and don'ts, what's one thing you'll do this week and what's one thing that you will not do this week? So it's an opportunity for you to journal and reflect. You can type on this, you can print it out and write it, you can make a book, whatever. Then I said in the book, we have these black box reflections, and they're not questions in the book. So this companion guide goes a little bit deeper. So here you can see the questions around negotiation and all of the black box reflections. Those questions are in 3 categories: people, systems, and conditions. People, systems, and conditions. So the invitation is to like read the questions and pick 2. Don't do all 6 of them because you'll never do it. And then you get overwhelmed and then you'll stop and then it's back to the same old crap that you've been doing before. So I really encourage you to, oh, and thanks, Evan. He put the free guide 2025 to the companion guide. If you go to the Flow page, thank you for putting that in. Awesome. Great, great. This is working. This is so exciting. I'm probably making a fool of myself and I don't know if I'm doing this right, but you know what? That's how you learn and that's how you grow. And if I wanted to make this perfect, I would have practiced for 3 weeks and then I wouldn't be able to like give you any good stuff today. So that's what I'm trying to do. So these are black box reflections around negotiation. Then you have the final approach questions. Those are those MCC level tough executive coaching questions that I invite you to read, reflect, come back to, and answer. And then there's also status lights. So after every chapter, like, how are you feeling? Like, are you really good at negotiating? Maybe you're just green. You're like, you know what? This is great. I don't need to work on this. Let me skip to liberation because I get a lot of feedback that I'm micromanaging and I'm too hands-on and I'm stressed because I have so much work to do and I need to like find balance to delegate and trust people and to create an environment where people can figure it out on their own, share their learnings with everyone, and have an amazing, amazing team. So you have a green. Are you excited, motivated, and focused? Yellow, are you curious, stretched, and frustrated? Then maybe you should kind of spend some time sit with this chapter, read, go look at your legendary leader radar assessment, see where you scored. Or if you're red, you are just stuck. You need help. And that's when, like, take the time, carve out some time on the weekends or early on a Monday or early on a Friday. Just like find some time, whether it be 5 minutes or an hour, but get some thinking time where you can actually go through and reflect. So think through all of this. And then the nice part here is, like, you don't want to have a book and a notebook and a phone. Like, this companion guide is like a one-stop shop for everything. So you can take some notes, you can do some journaling, you can do some reflection, pick one thing that you're going to work on. If I'm working on negotiation, I want to answer the question, where am I trading clarity for comfort or alignment for harmony? And what's the real cost? Wow, that's a zinger, right? Where am I trading clarity for comfort? So basically, where are you not taking a risk? Where are you feeling comfortable when you need to kind of push yourself or push other people? And what can you do to have a better decision, a better product, a better outcome as a result of an effective negotiation if you pushed out of your comfort zone and traded clarity for comfort? Or in this case, gave up comfort and chose clarity. So those are just some examples of the questions in the book. And again, message me. I will give you this for free. And oh, look, there's the other QR code. So this is the companion guide. The other thing that we have going on is, if you get the book, get the assessment, get the companion guide, and you're like, holy heck, Michael, this is really, really tough. I need some help. We actually have a program. It's the first time we're doing it, so it's super, super discount. And you can go to the Flow page and it's there. It's called 9 Weeks from Smart to Legendary. You get a 90-minute Zoom meeting. Nothing is recorded. It's not this video bullshit. It's like all this stuff of, you come together for an hour and a half, you bring your problems, we talk about the book, we talk about the companion guide. I give you some of the case studies and simulations that I had to cut from the book. So now you get more practical examples. You get group coaching, you get one-on-one, well, not one-on-one, but like, I'm thinking there'll probably be between 5 to no more than 10 people in this program. So if you have people in your organization where you're like, wow, I have some leaders that really need to step up their game, I don't have a lot of time. In 9 weeks, they get the book, they get the companion guide, they get 9 90-minute sessions over Zoom where we talk about the book and the models and give examples and do simulations and skill practices and all of that kind of stuff. So take a look at that if that's something that you're interested in. So, all right. So what have we covered? We have talked about the book. We have talked about the Legendary Leader Radar Assessment. We have talked about the free companion guide. And you get like all this stuff for under $4. That's like the cost of a large fry at McDonald's. So seems like a no-brainer to me. Like, for $4, you should go with it. Hey, it's Felicia. Hi, Felicia. No, I have not read the book yet. I wanna. Oh, okay. If you haven't read the book yet, take the time. It's an awesome read. Great session. I love being you. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yes, Felicia and I have been talking. We used to work together. She's a dear colleague and one of the best leaders that I know. And she got the book and she tore through it and read it. And yeah, so Felicia, I might invite you to do one of these like LinkedIn lives. I was thinking of maybe finding some people that read the book and then gathering them, and we just like have like a fireside chat. Maybe we have a little wine or something. This is from our launch party. So we had some Why Smart Leaders Do Stupid Things legendary wine. So we had a legendary time there, but no, we won't drink on the job. But I'm thinking it could be kind of a nice dialogue. So let me go through and I'm going to do a book reading, and I'm going to do the same story because I think it just sets the tone of everything in the book. So the other thing I want to show you is the table of contents. Like, even this is different. So in each chapter, you're going to find out what the title is, what you get, how long it's going to take the average reader to read. So again, the thought is you take the Legendary Leader Radar Assessment, you figure out a couple chapters where you're like, I really need to focus on this. You can just flip right to that chapter, read the story, answer the questions, pick up the companion guide, put it all together. So this is designed to be completely customizable, just as if you were working with a coach that was listening to you and asking questions and customizing your journey. So it's really well organized, I think. So here's the introduction, what you get. This is chapter 1, Liberation, Cleared for Takeoff. This is what you'll get. Discover how letting go of control creates the conditions for innovation, trust, and autonomy. 13 minutes. So my vision was, I had my friend Matt, who I wrote most of this book in Mexico. I had to like get out of the country and go to an Airbnb on the beach and basically ignore myself for the world for like 10 days at a time. And that's when I would like write the book, and then I would come back and meet with my clients and play catch up. So anyways, my friend Matt was there and taking pictures, and he's like, you know what? He was reading a book. It was called Go Givers. And he's like, yeah, I was at the airport bookstore. I got this Go Giver book and I read it on the flight to Mexico. And I'm like, that's what I want my book to be. Like, you stumble across this in a bookstore, you read the back and you're like, wow, this looks a little bit different. Huh, smart no longer works. Like, no one ever says that. Everyone wants people to be smart. So then you open the book and you're like, this is really good. And then in about 3.5, maybe 4 hours, I am not a fast reader. It took me about 4 hours, a little less than 4 hours to read the final version. But in 4 hours, you would read the book on an airplane, get off, be excited, be motivated, start having some ideas of some things that you can do with your team. And that's kind of the whole vision for the book. So I wanted to make it very digestible and very understandable. So it has the chapter. This chapter is 14 minutes. Chapter 3 is 16 minutes. Chapter 4, 16 minutes. Where's a long one? I think 16 minutes is like the longest one. So yeah. And there's different versions. So this is the hardback version, which, let me tell you, it has been an experience to like get a book done. I went through 7 designers all across the world. I let a lot of them go because it just wasn't good. Like, everything from this book is like top quality. This sounds a little bit bougie, but like, imagine that you were sitting in first class and you had like a book that like was from Louis Vuitton or Louis Vuitton. I'm so bad. I'm not a good Louis Vuitton, right? Louis Vuitton. Yeah. So it would be like really nice. So I wanted it to feel good. I wanted it to look good. I wanted like the back cover to be good. We didn't put a price on it because I found out, oh, if you put prices, then you can't get your book into other countries because it's going to have. So there was just so much work in putting this together. And if you look at the interior of the book, I spent weeks and weeks formatting this. I actually rewrote paragraphs because I didn't like how the spacing would look. So I wanted this to be something that you didn't get distracted by the way that it was formatted or the way that it was edited. So I spent so much time and blew through all my savings to bring this book to the world, because I felt, I'm going to like get choked up here, because I was just very passionate and there's so much garbage out there. Oh my gosh. I wanted it to be something good. So anyways, the way that the book is formatted, the questions, the way that everything is clean, there's not all this like gross space between all the words. Like, I have been called a perfectionist. I've been psychologically diagnosed as a near perfectionist. I would coach other people to like not do all the things that I did over the 5 years, but I do want to just say that I've spent a lot of time bringing this to the world. So anyways, okay. Whew. And I also won an award from the National Speakers Association. So that is in the front of the book. And let me just do a time check. Okay, we're going to be done at the top of the hour. So 15 more minutes. So I just want to say thank you to some amazing colleagues, Tom, Alex from Nike, Tom from New York Life. One of my favorite coaches and authors, Dr. Marsha Reynolds. She wrote some very nice words. Mike Mears, who is a retired CIA chief of human capital. I used to do consulting with Deloitte at the Defense Intelligence Agency, and we connected. He has an amazing book out. Dr. Janelle Barlow, long time ago when I ran learning at the House of Representatives, she had a book called A Complaint is a Gift. She asked me to write a little testimonial for her book as the director of learning. And so I'm like, hey, Janelle, you need to pay me back. So thank you so much, Janelle, for your compliment. And then my dear friend, Dr. Cheryl Wood, who was a professor at George Washington University. We also have Angelique Ruers from Bold House. She's the CEO, and Dr. Darnell Lee, the Chief Human Resource Officer at the U.S. House of Representatives. All of them have been so kind to read the book and provide a little bit of background. So, all right, so I'm going to do a book reading, and this is a true story that happened. Of course, I've changed the names of the companies and the people and the gender and the title. And, really, I'm not trying to like throw anyone under the bus. And I've also merged a lot of people where, for example, there's a VP of human resources that I talked to that's associated with a company. In real world, it's actually 3 VPs that I worked with, and I kind of put them all together in a story. So I'm not trying to trash talk or anything, but I think that these stories really connect with people. And so many people are like, oh my gosh, like I was talking to an owner of a law firm yesterday, and she's like, yeah, like I've had people like this in my career. I could just swap out the name. And there's so many lousy leaders out there, and this book is going to help you like learn from them. And if you have stories, I literally would love to hear them. Someone said my next book should be called Still Stupider and Not Smarter, and I don't know, something like that. So maybe we'll do another edition. So this is the introduction. I'm going to read it from the hardback version. We also have I don't have a paperback. That's going to fall. The paperback version. And then we also have, right now, it's the Kindle version. The Kindle version is a different experience. So in the book, when you read it, for example, the spirals, which are those the stories that are sort of from the lousy leader's perspective. When you get the ebook, you actually read the spiral first, and then you read the story. So it's like, it's a different experience. And I don't know if I like one of them better than the other, but it's completely customizable. In the Kindle, you can skip around, you can highlight, you can send things to Goodreads if you have quotes. In the book, I'm more of a hard copy. I would buy both. Like literally, I can't tell you how many times I bought the Kindle and the book just because I want it from 2 different things. But hey, all I want you to do is take that legendary leader radar assessment and see if you like even have an appetite for some of this stuff. But anyways, it's a different experience based on that. And I've been asked a lot about, is there an audio book? And I'm going to try to have an audio book out sometime, but I don't know the exact date. All right, let me get some water, and then I'm going to read to you. It's story time with Michael Krumpak. Introduction: Ground Control to Leadership. She didn't know it yet, but by 10 a.m., her career and the face of the company would change forever, and no one would say a word. The meeting started like any other Tuesday. Same boardroom, same stale coffee, same stack of spreadsheets that no one really wanted to look at. But something was different that day. The numbers were bad. Planes were grounded. People were whispering in the hallways. And at the center of it all was Douglas Fitzgerald, Skyway's newly hired senior vice president of maintenance. Fitz didn't engage in small talk. He didn't smile or look up when people spoke to him. Instead, he flipped through page after page, jaw clenched, creating a silence that felt thick enough to choke the room. He gradually changed color, moving from light pink to deep red, like a thermometer dipped in boiling water. Without warning, he slammed his hand down on the table and said, "This is bullshit, completely unacceptable," he snapped, his voice razor-edged, dripping with scorn. Heads snapped up at the outburst. One person flinched and dropped their pen, which hit the floor with a sharp metallic crack that sliced through the stunned silence. And then he jumped onto his chair and he leaped on top of the table. In stiff dress shoes and a starched white shirt, Fitz marched down center of the table like he owned the sky. Coffee cups rattled, laptops shifted, the air seemed to vanish like a plane cabin after an explosive decompression. I was in the back of the room observing in my HR role. I had clear visibility, and I knew unexpected and severe turbulence was coming. It started with a silence that felt too tight. Then came the slammed tables, the flinches, the darting eyes, executives scanning for exits that they couldn't take. I watched the regional director's expression unravel in real time, confidence slipping, panic setting in like a trapped animal, until finally the quiet collapse, the unmistakable weight of defeat settling in. And I had the best seat in the house when Fitz had his temper tantrum at the far end of the table. He stopped, towering over her like a judge preparing to deliver a sentence. "You," he barked. "You're the reason we're failing. Your leadership is garbage. Your performance is pathetic. Get your act together or get the hell out." She went pale. The room froze. No one breathed. No one could. Fitz wasn't done. He hurled threats. He promised consequences. And then he jumped down, straightened his blazer, and glided smugly out of the conference room. One VP stared at the floor. Another rubbed their temples. No one made eye contact, and no one spoke. Moments later, the others exited in silence, like survivors of a disaster that no one dared to name. So I'll read just one more paragraph. And the title of this paragraph is "Fear Works Until It Doesn't." And this is so important. There's so much fear in organizations and people just don't speak up. But anyways, let me get back to the book. I would have thought that this was the end, the meltdown, the public shaming, the stunned silence. But strangely, it wasn't. In the weeks that followed, things started to change. Planes left on time. Maintenance issues got resolved faster. Teams moved with urgency. Metrics soared. Executives nodded with approval. For a moment, it looked like Fitz's temper tantrum had worked. Fear had lit a fire. People scrambled. No one wanted to be the next target. The shift was nearly immediately and completely unsettling. Fitz had made fear the strategy. But here's the thing about fear. It's fast and it's fragile. So if you want to know what happened to Fitz and his executive team at Skyways, you're going to have to get a copy of the book. But it's interesting. I always ask the question when we do book readings, and like, what do you think happened? Do you think results went up? Do you think results went down? So you're going to have to get the book to read that. So anyways, that's about all I have today. Thank you for allowing me into your computer or into your phones. This was just kind of a little test for me. I want to invite you to go to the Flow page, which should be in the chat. It's flow.code/whysmartleadersdostupidthings. Or if you can't remember all that stuff, just go to the website, whysmartleadersdostupidthings, and everything is there. I don't know a way to take questions, but if you have anything in the chat, I'll eyeball that. Otherwise, I encourage you to go to Amazon, grab the book. If you did grab the book and you'd be so kind, I would really, really appreciate a review. We were number 20 on Amazon last time I looked, which is great. I would love to get to number 1. but more than that, it's not a vanity thing. It's not a rating. It's like, I want the world to go from smart to legendary and have really good leaders, starting with ourselves, building our teams. So we have a number of resources that we can help with. I'm offering a free discovery call if you want to talk about the book for 30 minutes or so, have questions about the assessment. If you can't remember the coupon code for the companion guide, again, it's free guide 2025. I have my team that is monitoring the email address, so you can send an email to Coach Krumpak at l4learningsolutions.com, or I check my LinkedIn a couple times a day. So if you have any questions or comments or testimonials, or you hate something about the book, look, complaints are gifts, and I'm bracing myself for some hard complaints as well. But so far, we've had some really, really good feedback, and people saying things like, this is the best book I've ever read. This is what we've all been like trying to say that no one has said, that I'm being vulnerable, because I like screw up so much stuff. Like, I give a story in the book the first time I had to terminate an employee, and I did such a bad job, she showed back up the next day. And they're like, Krumpak, I thought you fired her. I'm like, yeah, well, so did I. So yeah, it's like we all need to like bring this stuff out to the open and talk about it and learn from it. And I really hope that these tools, with the free radar assessment, with the book, that if you want the e-version, it's less than $4 right now. And then the $50 companion guide, which is your journal, your coach, your buddy, to go through all that. So I leave you with one last thing, an invitation to choose to be legendary. Thank you so much for your time and attention and being a part of my first ever LinkedIn Live. So go be legendary, and I look forward to hearing about all your amazing transformation and all your great leadership stories. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Ending stream out, Krumpak. Bye.